today's topic is going to be, what is the purpose of your pain? Right? What is the purpose of the pain and or the other symptoms? The purpose of the pain is to protect you from the brutal truth, the guttural honesty of how you're feeling about yourself and your life, right? We've got these emotions that are overwhelming, they're scary, they're uncomfortable, unpleasant, they're even perceived as dangerous, and they don't fit with our self-image at all, right? I'm not an angry person, right? We all say that, oh, I'm not an angry person, I don't get mad very often. But yet, when we, experience the thing called anger, we lock it up. I don't have time for that, right? And so the purpose of the pain is to protect you from the brutal, guttural truth about how you're feeling about things in your life. And you don't have to change your life, but you just have to acknowledge the fact that, man, some things really just piss you off or make you really sad or really guilty or lots of grief. I mean, we've got all sorts of things going on that cause a whole bunch of different symptoms. And the only purpose of those symptoms is to protect you from the brutal truth of how you really, if nobody was listening, and you could just talk about how you really feel about your life and yourself. Because that was the thing that I was missing. Somebody asked me the other day, what was one of the things that flipped the switch for you after 12 years of knowing about Sarno and still was in pain? One of the things that flipped the switch for me was I was really good at journaling about the outside world, about parenting, about being married and my wife and my job and the commute and everything else. And boy, did I go over that stuff until I was at my wit's end. And late in the process, I finally started to realize that, boy, the emotions that I've really been pushing away that I really didn't want to deal with were about me, right? I mean, I was the one I was most pissed off at for a variety of reasons, and I've shared some of that stuff with you in the past. So that was a tipping point for me. But the brutal truth was, I was asking myself, how did I get here? Led a great life. My wife was good. My son was good. Everything was good. But as I look back and the dreams I had as a kid, didn't include this suburban, changing diapers and married and broke and no money, and I thought I'd be rich and big business, and who knows? I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that reality. And look, maybe that's pretty minor compared to some of the emotional experiences that many of you guys and gals have had, right? But that was my stress. That was my, holy cow, how the F did I get here, right? And many of us say that. And look, if you've had a really traumatic childhood, the video yesterday or 2 days ago will really help with that, because we can get the lesson and we can really choose, it's a choice, to let the past go, right? We don't have to suffer in our 40s or 50s or 60s because we were abused as a kid. We don't. The world is safe right now. No, it wasn't safe back then, and I won't diminish the impact that had on us, but it's safe right now, and we can choose to let go of that and move on and create the future that you want, right? If you could start out with a blank piece of paper, what do you want your life to be, right? What do you want your life to be? And a lot of times we go, no, that's bullshit. I can't do that. I've got this situation, that situation. I can barely move and this and that. And we're not even allowing ourselves to dream or envision what life could be like once we let go of the need to protect ourselves from these emotions, right? So one of the things that these emotional exercises do, whether it be journaling or the I'm feeling this, is to just simply allow yourself to get in touch with and feel these emotions deeply. And if you're really disgusted with yourself because of all the things that you've let yourself down over, allow yourself to get disgusted with yourself. It doesn't mean you're got to stay that way. It just means feel it. And one thing I will tell you, and I find this personally, and I find it with a lot of the folks that I talk to and work with, is if they're really resistant, like I don't want to get sad. Look, if you get sad, if you get sad, you really sit with that. And it's awful and it's overwhelming. 90 seconds, things start to ease off. So I don't believe we need to feel the emotions all day long or all week or all month or for years, right? That means we're stuck in the story and we just keep on watching the movie of all the horrible crap that's happened to us. No, but if you can truly just be with and be present with that sadness or grief or anger or rage, about 90 seconds in, it will start to ease off. And what that is that's evidence that it's releasing automatically. Because when you feel your emotions, they release automatically. When you resist them and keep running from them, they keep on chasing you. And so it's really important to feel your emotions, right? But as I've talked in these other videos, feeling your emotions is not the only thing, because there's a lot of us that have done the emotional work. We've journaled, we've felt, we've done everything we could, and we're still stuck. And we may be stuck because of the things I talked about in the Are You Trying Too Hard video from a couple of days ago. Watch that. Sometimes we're trying so hard, we're fighting, we're fearing, we're focusing on the pain, we're trying to fix it, right? And we're so desperate to get rid of this darn pain that we're keeping this fight or flight and the adrenaline and cortisol pumping like crazy. And what we resist persists. So that statement, I know it sounds really impossible, but when I say don't care about your pain, I really mean don't care about your pain. Whatever. I had it yesterday, I've had it for 5 years. Whatever. Am I going to ruin every single day moving forward as long as I have this pain? No. And guess what? By doing that, by taking that whatever standpoint, you have a much, much higher chance of getting rid of the pain or the symptoms than if you toiled and suffered in it, right? Brain science, neuroplasticity, what fires together wires together. So the more you think about, toil about, fight and fear and try to fix this pain, you're keeping the wires connected. And what we want to do is start pruning those wires by shifting our focus to something else and letting the brain say, oh, this pain stuff's not significant anymore. I can loosen these connections up and build new connections to the things you want, the things that are meaningful and have purpose for you, things that you love, things that bring you joy. That's the wiring that we want to create. The brain does not have a choice. It will wire whatever you put your focus on. So if you are putting your focus on the pain and or other symptoms that you've got going on, the brain will wire that. And so the way to rewire it is not to say, stop thinking about pain, stop thinking about pain, stop thinking about pain. It's to say, I know when I'm thinking about the pain, and I gotta shift. Spend more time thinking about what you want, thinking about what you need to do, want to do, thinking about how can I do a little bit better today, both with my thoughts, my focus, and my physical, right? If you can barely walk 10 steps, great. Next day, maybe you walk 20. The reason for this is not because we're fixing our body. The reason for this is we're basically telling our subconscious brain that's trying to protect us, piss off. I got this. I'm good. I'm not going to lay in bed all day. I'm going to get up and do what I can. Not going to worry about it. It's going to hurt, but okay, so what? I hurt yesterday. I hurt for the past 100 yesterdays or 1,000 yesterdays. However long you've been in pain. Doesn't matter. So, the purpose of the pain. Remember that. Remember that. There's no tissue damage here. You've got circuits misfiring. Your brain says pain, and let's keep on sending these pain signals because we need to distract this person from the brutality of their truth about how they really feel about their life, and just as important about themselves. So, have you gotten brutally honest with yourself? Have you allowed yourself to feel these things that are just really unpleasant? Because boy, if I acknowledge that my life is all messed up because of me, holy cow, I'm going to get into a depression and never come out of it. But look, you can't make a change until you acknowledge where you are. So acceptance of where you are, both emotionally, mentally, motivationally, physically, pain-wise, symptom-wise. Accepting where you are doesn't mean you're going to quit and stay that way forever. Accepting where you are just means I'm looking at the brutal truth. Right now, things are so low, I've only got one way to go, and that's up. So, the purpose of the pain is to distract you from the brutal, guttural truth of how you really feel about your life and about yourself. And take a good hard look at that, because the good news is once you figure out what you really feel, you can start to make changes and say, here's things I will never allow myself to do again, and here's some things I'm committing to do moving forward. That's how you change things. But if you continue to delude yourself and numb yourself with both psychological medicines and things like alcohol or marijuana or other heavier drugs or pharmaceuticals, if you are constantly numbing yourself with those things and television and junk food and whatever else, and not actually facing the brutal truth about where you are and what you truly feel about yourself and your life, it's going to be really hard to move forward. So, as much as you don't want to take a look at yourself and your life without any filters, without any hesitations, and really get honest with yourself, until you do that, it's going to be hard to move forward. So, the purpose of the pain is simply to distract you from this brutal truth. And once you can acknowledge and recognize the brutal truth and the emotions surrounding that, and turn off the danger alarms, knowing that there's no tissue damage causing your pain. The tissue damage on the MRI or X-ray is just inconsequential, doesn't matter. When you realize that this is all just a misfiring of some circuits, and there's nothing physically, structurally wrong, and you start to look at the brutal truth emotionally, you're going to get better. So, are you willing to look at the brutal truth? Or have you been resistant to that? Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Have you been fighting the brutal truth about where you are and how you really feel about yourself, those around you, your life? It all matters. So, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.